That's right, Busters, I'm back with yet another Brawler concept. This time we have Pierce. Before I start, I would like to thank people on Reddit for pointing out potential flaws, which I kinda changed. And remember, I'm only suggesting ideas. I have no way to possibly balance them because I cannot playtest them, so I cannot for sure say it would be a broken, balanced, or weak Brawler. Now, Pierce is a legendary marksman, and basically he's a steampunker, a clockmaker. He loves time, maybe a bit too fascinated and obsessed with time and the concept of time. This makes him a bit tunnel vision in his work, making time machines, gadgets, anything that involves steampunk and clockwork. This makes him a bit unapproachable as he's too dedicated to his work and a bit of a perfectionist. He is all about precision, basically. Now, for his stats, he has a whopping 4,800 health. For range, he has a total of 10 tiles, which is basically the normal for a marksman. Width, it's 0.25, and this is actually the thinnest attack in the game, so his attack would possibly be hard to hit, making him potentially a high skill cap brawler. Movement speed, it's normal. Projectile speed, it's 5,100. This is the fastest of any marksman, so keep in mind, thin attack, or hard to hit shot, but fast bullet. So if you're good at aiming, that's potentially a guaranteed hit. For reload, it's 1.5, and supercharge rate, it's 12.5%, which would basically mean he takes 8 shots to charge a super. For ammo, for hypercharge, it's 3 supers worth, and ammo, he has 3 ammo bars. Now for the main attack, called Clockwork Rifle. Like I said, he uses a rifle he modified with clockwork and his typical engineering, and he shoots a fast and thin homemade clockwork bullet that pierces enemies. The piercing enemies detail is gonna be brought up soon, but for now we're gonna keep it sidelined. It does a total of 2,400 damage, which I feel it's fair considering his abilities. And keep in mind, he has a fast bullet, thin attack, which means he has the fastest projectile speed of any marksman, but also the thinnest attack of any marksman. Now for the passive ability, and this is where the piercing mechanic comes into play. The passive ability, it's called Ticking Time Bomb. After Pierce hits an enemy with his bullet, the bullet breaks down, it kinda destroys itself, launching a smaller projectile into anyone that is behind the initial target. This is why I say his attack pierces, but the piercing has kind of its own effect as the projectile or debris from the initial bullet has a slower movement speed of 4,200, a smaller width of 0.5, which would be really hard to possibly hit, and it only deals 1,900 health. Now, once again, this means that Pierce would potentially be a high skill cap brawler. Now the super. Now this is the part that might potentially be reworked later on for Pierce, but for now, the super is called Time Traveler. On activation, Pierce reverts all actions that happen in the last 3 seconds. Any kills, gems collected, any health healed, any damage, any supers, any gadgets, any ammo used, any attacks, any odds on percentage, you know, all of those shenanigans. They are reverted to their initial position 3 seconds ago. But all of the enemies, all of your teammates, and you get all of their gadgets, supers, ammo refunded, you know, to exactly be like the game was 3 seconds ago. The only change is that Pierce loses his super, of course. Now here's a small tutorial, so it can help you guys explain, called Time Traveler for Dummies. You start the countdown in double swoosh, Chuck has the gems, and everything seems fine, but in the time period of 3 seconds, Fang uses the super, Maisie uses the super, Melody collects the gems and runs away with her super. So, Pierce uses his super and is able to revert all of those actions. Now, he saved the error, but now the other team can still do the same thing, and it's in your power to try and not cause that the same thing happens. Now for the gadgets. We start with the first gadget called Time Illusion. For the next 3 seconds, all projectiles in a 3v3 radius of Pierce will move 25% slower. Now, this basically means any projectiles will move slower. Yeah, I think this one is pretty self-explanatory, so there's not much to add up. The second gadget is called Bullseye. The next attack won't pierce, so basically the passive ability won't work for the next attack, but it will deal an additional 1500 damage. This might be good for securing kills or doing some additional damage that Pierce might initially lack. Now for star powers. The first star power actually is something that I reworked. But basically Pierce is now able to stack up to 3 supers. By stacking, I mean if he has already a super, he's able to charge a second super, and if he gets up to the second super, he can charge another one. Basically, it would have a similar thing to how Melody's super works. But with extra charge, it takes double the time to charge. So for the second charge, instead of 8 hits, it would be 16 hits. And for the third charge, instead of 16 hits, it would be 32 hits. I feel this might balance it a bit, but also the supers would have a bit of a cooldown, so you cannot use like 3 supers in a row, similar to how gadgets work overall. The second star power is called Rusty Core. The clockwork bullet explosion will now leave debris in a tile for 5 seconds, which Pierce can collect, and upon collection, Pierce reloads 33% of an ammo bar back. Now, this star power might seem weak at first, but let's imagine you're able to hit 3 shots on an enemy and you defeat them. You can now walk up your lane and collect the debris, and suddenly you have an ammo bar back. Now for the hypercharge called Timeline Rev. Basically, Time Traveler no longer refunds whatever the enemies used during the reverted 3 seconds. The speed buff will be of 26%, the damage buff will be of 25%, and the shield buff will be of 5%. Now, this might be a bit broken in first glance, but then you have to consider that you would need to hit 25 shots to even be able to use an hypercharge. And considering Pierce's attack is not exactly the easiest to land, I feel like it would be an hypercharge that you would have to work hard to even earn. Now for the skins. We start off with a 25 gem skin Toymaker Pierce, you know, the classical recolor, and then we have the super rare skin 79 gem skin Confectionist Pierce. Yes, it's inspired by Willy Wonka, and yes, he's purple now. Lastly, we have the pins, quite proud of how they look like. We have the current concept trios, be sure to check them out. And thanks for your time, and now I'll leave you the Pierce voice lines. This is a waste of time. Dragged into yet another hassle. Could have spent this time perfecting my work. Name's Pierce, that's all I'll say. I really would rather not do this. I'm only here to watch over Jet. Yes, I'm a clockmaker, and no, it's not a big deal. Pendulums, gears, steam, and pistons. Precision is the key to victory. Patience is a virtue. Mine is on the verge of running out. The pendulum of victory swings from side to side. Tick, tock, tick, tock. Perfection. Seconds to minutes, minutes to hours. Every second that passes, my chances of victory increase. Do you need a clock hand? Time is ticking, victory is reaching. Competence shall prevail. The gears are shifting. Steam-powered machinery. How bothersome. Tisk, tisk. How annoying. This is pointless. You're making this a clockwork. If you break my machinery, you will regret. What's the point? Typical. Tisk, tusk, so aggressive, so little patience. What a baller. You're 18 milliseconds too early. Impressive. Time ran out for you. Tick-tock, your time is up. Mechanically, you're flawed. Tick-tock, tick-tock, tick-tock. Counterclockwise. Vintage glory. Great! Now can I return to my humble engineering? Those who don't respect the ticking aren't fit for the winning. 1 minute and 37 could have been better. Not too late, not too early. Perfectly time. What's the time? It's 8:45. Time to have a laugh. Like a broken hourglass. Perhaps time is just a mere illusion. If only I could turn back time. I don't care enough to be upset about this outcome. I'm a Victorian without the victory, just like a delayed clock. A simple mechanical error led to a total malfunction. Perhaps I need to rethink my strategy. My time of passing, 6 past 30. Out of steam. Ticking to the dock. Hear the ticking. Time to fix some mistakes. The past is far behind, but now it's in sight. Reverting back time. Tock tick, tock tick. Timeline shifted. Second chance. Make it right this time. Not proud of that. Revert. 3 seconds into the past.